All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is June 9th. Markets are off to a pretty positive start for the Qs at least. SPY is pretty flat, only up by 0.1%. The NASDAQ is up by 0.4%. The Dow Jones is down by 0.1%, and the Russell 2000 currently down by 0.1%. So the rotation that we saw out of technology and into small caps and the laggers has reversed the last couple of days. And QQQ is trading at $354.60, 66 cents as of right now. Market makers are probably going to want to push this over 355 if we get there. There's a lot of open interest above 355 or calls. 353 is going to be your line in the sand today, where there's about an equal amount of open interest, and then below 352 you'll get a reverse gamma squeeze if that does end up hitting. So my guess is probably we're going to see 355 in the open, probably go a little bit higher. Not sure if we'll reverse or if we'll just continue the momentum, but so far the momentum this morning has been very positive. A lot of it thanks to Tesla, up by 5% to 249, just hit 250.95 this morning. And it gapped up from 234.86, so huge gap up. I wouldn't expect it to fill the gap. The momentum for Tesla has been really, really good. This has been one of the names that hasn't really stalled versus the other names. Most of them have stalled out. But yeah, that's what's going on this morning. Looking at the 355 put probably first thing 355 call first thing this morning to capture that gamma squeeze. Let's go to Qs, QQQ. 5-minute chart, currently trading at 354.60. Got a few tops here, but yeah, still a very bullish market. You're seeing higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher highs. If it can't breach this higher high, then that would maybe start a downtrend to 353. Where did I go? The heck? Sorry about that. All right, here we are at 355, so squeezing to the upside as expected. These contracts are going for 130 a piece. Looks like we're peaking above and failing. I'll try to get these at 125, just a couple of them. Kind of looks like a peak above and fail at 355.25 on the high. So I guess we couldn't maintain that gamma squeeze. Back to 355 again. And back down. I'm going to try to get these at like 120. They're at 115, 110 now. So I think that's a good price. Oh, crap. Misplaced the order. All right, we're seeing Tesla pulling back to 246 from 250, so that's kind of a good sign for the bears, but it really needs to come down in order to send everything down a lot. All right. Well, these are going for 140 now, so they're getting expensive, but one. Okay. Next strike price that's really hot is 356 too. So we'll see if we cross above that. And I think if we get above 356, then it's just off to the races. All right, I'm going to place my order in for 130, see if we get filled on that. I don't think so since they're going for 140, but we'll place a limit. Limit order to buy QQQ 355 call at 130. Probably just got filled on that. Yeah, did. I got some 352 calls that are up a ton today, but that one actually hedged with a called debit spread and sold a 353, so I limited my upside there. Probably can take profits on those though. Let's see. 376, 287. 287, that's 376. 89 profit. Spent like total of 30 for it. Yeah, there we go, higher, 355.40. So again, 356 is your next hot strike price, so watch out above. Currently trading at 355.14. RSI is very hot, 75. It's a very good start to the day. Yeah, getting down to 352 would be a big stretch too. Unless we just end up reversing the first like 15 minutes. Microsoft is going up right now. Let's see, up another 0.7% today. So yeah, everything is very green in the big techs. And there's really no competition for the bulls at these strike prices above 355 right now. If you look at the open interest, there's like no put open interest here. So likely headed higher. 230 call expiring for, I'm assuming Tesla would be the closest price to that. It's at 245. So this one is actually pulling back a decent bit to 250. I still don't think that we're going to fill the gap down to 235, but anything is in the cards, I would say. Microsoft surging to the upside the first 10 minutes. All right, we're getting to 355.50 almost. Very, very close to it. Again, watch out for 356 next. There's how many calls at 15,000 calls with open interest at the 356 level, 18,000 calls with 355. And then if you look at the puts at these levels, there's like no action at all. You have 5,000 puts. You have 10,000 puts at the 355. So there's really no competition for the bulls up here at 355. What's happening to PayPal? Let's see. Haven't checked on this name in a while. Had a lower 63, down 1.7%. Maybe stuck until a new management arrives. That's the latest news on it. Let's check out the yearly chart. Still trading at close to 52-week lows, and it's just been going back and forth between about 60 and 65, so it's really just found itself in a range here. It's a pretty volatile day though, down 1.6%. All right, here we go, QQQ. Let's see if we can get to 356 or not. Starting to pull back a little bit. Still very, very bullish though. You're looking at 80 on the RSI. So like I said, the bulls really don't have any competition with these 355 strike prices. My calls are up by 44 right now, 16%. Let's check out what's moving. Meta's down today. Apple is pulling back. Microsoft's still hanging. Q's still hanging. Amazon is going up pretty well. Nvidia going up pretty well. And then Tesla is the one that's pulling back. So you have Tesla, Apple pulling back, but every other name seems to be going to the upside. So getting close to 356 now. My calls are up by 30%. Wish I had bought more, but did not choose to do that. There's 356. So now you need like a good 40-50 cent move in order to really get the momentum going above 356. Usually that's when they'll start to push it really hard at like 50 cents above. think I've probably made max profit for my 352, 353. Call debit spread for today. 522 minus 297, 225 total profit, I think. Let's see. Excuse me. All right. Oh, that's not. The bid ask is really bad on it. Between 81 and 100. I could just hold it, honestly. Let's see. I opened 3 of them, I think. If I remember right. No, I opened just 2. I thought I had opened 3, but not the case. But yeah, I'll probably just close that now that we're so high. Get most of the profit out of it. 0.9 I'm going to put the order in for. The bid ask is really terrible, but we'll try. Not even filled at 90. I'm going to start looking at that 355 call that I bought, because it seems to be stalling here at 356 right now. So this could be a pivot point, unless we're able to get to like 356.50 and above. All right, there we are at 356.40. These are going for $2 a piece now. I've got them at 130. So I think this will probably be the point to close at about $2 each. All right, close those at 2. So nice little $140 profit. Just took profits on the 355 calls. $2. Also took profits on the call debit spread at 90 each. Closing options alert, premium. Took profits on the 352, 353, QQQ called debit spread and 90 each. And I originally paid 15 for those. So that was 150 profit, and then the 130. So I made back some of the losses I took on QQQ puts. I got 352 puts, assuming we would have a reverse gamma squeeze, but that did not play out since the pre-market was very bullish, and it's just continuing that. Why didn't you buy a more expensive call with higher delta? You can. It's just I would rather buy the cheaper ones and then add up the delta with more options. Like if you open 10, say with a 40 delta, you have 400 total delta. Whereas if you buy a deep in the money call that has something like a, I don't know, 80, 90 delta, then you're only going to make $80, $90 for every dollar it goes up versus $400 for every dollar it goes up with the 10 at the 40 delta. And on a day like today, where we're starting, with a gamma squeeze above 355, it just makes more sense to choose the lower deltas. They're going to be cheaper, and you'll get more bang for your buck out of them. Ford and General Motors cheap. Let's see. Ford is up 2%. General Motors up by 4% today. Yeah. Let's see. Nvidia's going up. Microsoft's at 330. Damn. They really reversed that one. Up 1.1% today. Broke out of yesterday's highs. And Nvidia's above 390, so above 390 on Nvidia, there should be a gamma squeeze here as well. I think there's about 10,000 call options expiring today above 390. So unless the market makers want to turn the ship around and make sure that they don't get paid out, you'd probably see this continuing to squeeze above 390. It's still very, I would say it's neutral in terms of price action. Looking at the hourly chart, it really hasn't broken out in either direction as of yet. Today's price action is definitely bullish, and if you're looking at next week's expiration, there's a lot of call options around, I think, 395, 400. Let's see, the prices I have are actually, 390, and then 400 will be the next. And then to the downside, lots of puts at 380, and then 375 is the next highest open interest. So those are your levels to look out for here. 390, 380, 375, and 400. Isn't the break even higher? Yeah, but you don't really need to focus on the break even. If you're going to get out of the contract before it expires, you don't need to worry so much about the break even. But yeah, definitely gamma squeeze going on. 356, it just kept on heading up. Every 5 minutes has been bullish so far. Let's see, those 355 calls are probably worth like 250 now, maybe more. No, they're worth 230. But yeah, bulls don't have any competition. If you're looking at the options chain, there's no puts up here at 355, 356. The open interest is only 9,000. 355 puts, 6,000 for the 356, and then from there, there's hardly any open interest at all. 2,500 357s. But if you're looking at the calls, you got 18,000 for the 355s, 16,000 almost for 356, and 10,000 for 357. Next highest open interest would be 360. If we do end up getting there, that would be pretty wild day. With 11,600 calls open with a 360 strike. Just to get the lowest break even. Yeah, it's just too expensive, especially if you're doing like short term. It doesn't really make too much sense to spend that much money on it. Going in on calls, I already got some this morning that I took profits on at 356.50 for Qs. And then I had some called debit spreads that I exited from. I did have some puts also at below 352. I exited those as soon as we got above 355 for like a 300 loss, but I made up for that with the 355 calls and then that 352, 353 call debit spread from yesterday. But yeah, everything's going up this morning. You're seeing Nvidia at 395 almost. So that gamma squeeze is playing out here. Got a higher low, higher high forming. So looking bullish for Nvidia. Microsoft, same kind of thing. Let's see. Q's at 357 now. I would be shocked if we get to 360. But with this kind of momentum, you might just have FOMO building. You're at, 90 on the RSI? So if you do buy 360 calls, don't go crazy on it. They're going for $27 each for $3 out of the money. That's pricey. If you go with $3 out of the money on a put option to 354, you're paying the same amount, I guess. It's about 30 cents each. But man, I can't believe somebody would pay 25 cents for a 360 call right now. Can't be me. If I did, I would only buy like a couple of them at most. Only spend like $50 to $100 as a YOLO play. Let's see. I do kind of want to take some trades for next week. If we look at the open interest for the 16th, I think we have the Fed meeting on the Wednesday, if I remember right. This, right, June 14th. Yeah, that would be Wednesday. So if there's any kind of pivot to the market, this would be where it would be on Wednesday. Looking at the popular strike prices, I think it's all in calls, really. Everybody's betting on the upside. You got 49,355 calls, 83,350 calls. And then for puts, I think you have a decent amount down to 350. So if we do end up reversing post-Fed, 350 would be the strike price to look for. 355 is also a good one. 22,000, but it really doesn't, not even close to the amount of calls at that strike price. You have 49,000 versus 20,000, so a lot more upside pressure for next week, unless we end up going below 350. Then there's a little bit of competition from the bears. Excuse me. I think I'm going to set up a 350, 355 put debit spread. Right now it's going for 150. And they would go for $5 if it does go down to 350 by next week after Wednesday. Might want to take this trade later though, just given the gamma squeeze we're experiencing. Wait until we have some sort of topping formation at least. So far it's just been up and away. Although we are at 357, which is where we've gotten rejected before. If we're looking at the hourly chart, we've been rejected twice already around 357. Here on Wednesday and then on Monday. So 357 could act as a resistance just because it has before. So I did end up opening those at 150 a pop. So if we do reverse, this would be the price that you would want it at 357. Haven't really seen a peak formation yet. We are severely overbought at 80 RSI, but doesn't really mean much if there's a ton of options at 356 and above. So there are people trying to get the price levels with the most open contracts. Those are the market movers. Yeah, so the way that it works is there's a lot of people that have bought either calls or puts at specific strike prices. That is your open interest. That's the total number of contracts that are open for that specific strike price. And once those options become in the money, then the market makers have to hedge that position. The market makers is who's selling that option to you. So say that they're buying you're buying the 355 calls. The market maker is selling you those 355 calls. That means that they're agreeing to sell you 100 shares at $355. So in order to hedge that bet, they have to buy shares of QQQ. That's what's known as a gamma squeeze. Once you go above high open interest strike prices or below them, that's when you start to really get a movement. Like as soon as we went above 355, it was just a squeeze up from there. And there's really not much competition from the bears, considering that how low the open interest is for puts at above 355. Would it be stupid to buy Tesla calls right now? Let's see. I wouldn't want to participate in Tesla. I've been wanting to buy Tesla calls for the last couple of days because it's been the only one that's continued to go up but it's just been parabolic the last week or two. Like, we've gone from 200 to 250 in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trading days. So I wouldn't be betting against it. I wouldn't be betting for it. I do have shares of Tesla, but that's the extent that I'm going to bet on Tesla, is just buying shares of it. I wouldn't want to chase to the upside, and I don't want to bet against it because it is like jumping in front of a train. So mad that I sold Tesla and bought PayPal. RIP. Yeah, that would suck. I was thinking about selling Tesla at 220. I never did, but at 250, it's so hard not to sell. Like, I just want to wait until we get some at least flat trading action before I sell anything. Something like how Nvidia moved post earnings, where we went all the way to 420 and then just kind of traded flat from there for the last couple of weeks. That's what I would want to see for Tesla before I sell out. All right, Q's still stalling at 357, having a hard time getting above. We're so far away from any puts getting paid out. Again, the closest strike price for puts is 353, so we would have to drop over 1% from where we are now to get the puts rolling for today. So probably either flat or up. You're going to have resistance at 357, but again, there's really not much competition from the bears with the options chain skewed as it is to the call side. Yeah, the highest open interest is, well, I guess there's 10,000 for the 355 strike price and then 12,000 for the 353s. So if we do manage to pull back down to 355, you might get some competition from the bears, but right now it's just headed higher. Sold my Qs, $12 profit. Could have made $220 if you had held. It's always the worst. Stop loss works. I haven't got any trades open that I would use a stop loss on right now. Hope I've been well. Yeah. Been pretty good, William. Thank you. really wish I had held on to those Qs calls a little bit longer. Could have paid out a bit more. Let's see. 355 calls are going for. They really haven't changed that much. It's 230. I sold them at 205, so can't really complain. All right, here we need to go below the low here. I would want to see it probably 356.60 in order to call it a start to a bearish trade. $0.20-$0.30 below where we're at now would be maybe a pivot, considering that 357 high. How do I feel about Norwegian cruise lines? We are coming up on summertime, so they ought to be doing pretty well. They're up from 13 to 16 for the past month, so they're already up a good amount. $4 from 13 is like 20%, 25%, right? Let's see, 4 over 13, 30% actually. So it's already up a ton. You're a little bit late to the party, but let's see, it is close to 52-week highs too at 18. Long term, I probably wouldn't like Norwegian just because, you know, going into a recession, people are going to be traveling less, cruising less. Short term, you definitely have the bullish momentum going for you, but the last 3 days it hasn't moved much. So maybe if it does break above, say, 17.25, then you could be bullish. But right now, I would probably either take a neutral or a bearish trade. Looking at that hourly chart, and kind of confirms this flat trading action for the last 3 trading days. So either bearish or neutral short term. Long term, I would be bearish. Had 2 trades go very well, and then 2 trades go totally south. Yeah. I mean, if you're bearish in this market, it's absolute hell. I've been trying to take a more neutral approach by looking at open interest as of lately, and that's been paying off okay. I mean, I did have the loss from the 352 puts this morning. But really just following where the open interest is, you get big gamma squeezes at the highest open interest strikes. So it's been a more neutral approach than just being mostly bearish based on, I mean, I'm bearish based on fundamentals, based on going into a recession, like everything points negative, but really what's controlling the markets these days, I feel like, is just the options chain. You have daily gamma squeezes, so hard to really bet against a market when there's really no kind of, what would you call it? Like finding a price and sticking with it. Because each day is just different. The markets change their tone on a daily basis. So there's no price discovery. Where did I learn about gamma squeezes? Maverick of Wall Street, one of the YouTubers that covers fundamentals mostly is what he covers, but taught me about gamma squeezes and how open interest impacts, you know, when the stock starts to move. And especially with these 0 data expiration, it just kind of exacerbates it every single day. And then if the Friday, like next Friday, that's when you really start to get big moves, just because there's tens of thousands of options that have next week's expiration. If you're looking at the 16th, you have 49,000 call options at 355 versus today you have like, let's see, I think 12,000 or something like that. No, 18,000. It's about half the open interest there. So the third Friday of each month is when you really get some moves. Don't totally get it. I mean, it's really all about just watching the hottest strike prices and then comparing the calls to the puts. So looking at today's expiration, you have 18,000 calls at 355, 15,000, almost 16,000 at 356, and 10,000 at 357. And if you look at puts with similar strikes, you've only got 9,600 355 puts, 6,000 356 puts, and then 2,500 357 puts. So there's really no competition in puts versus calls. So likely what that means is today is just going to be bullish. But if we do end up managing down to 354, then you might have some competition from the bears. Let's see. The 354 puts has... 355 puts has 96 open interest and 11,600 at the 353s. So if we do manage to go back below 355, then we could see 353, but right now it's just going straight to the upside. No problem, William. Tesla rocketing back up. Let's see. Back to 252. Damn. The stock that never stops. Let's see, the 14th expiration for the Fed meeting. The hottest options chain, let's see, is going to be... There's really not that many options expiring for next Wednesday. That's a little bit shocking. I would have thought there would have been more, but... The most open interest you have is like 1,400. And then 2,700 353 calls. Even the 360s don't have much. And then looking at the puts, not really any open interest here either. So from right now, it's looking like Wednesday's going to be pretty boring unless you just add up open interest like the days going into it. All right, here we are at 357.30. So likely next target will be 360 if we can make it there. I think that's a new high for Qs too. Yeah, 357.63 versus previous was 357.50. It's about 20 cents higher almost. Damn, they're killing Sox S right now, down to $11. AMD's up 4.5% today. Damn, there's a lot of somebody that bought a shit ton of AMD calls for the next couple of months, so they got really lucky there. 4.5% today, and then Nvidia's up by 3% too. Let's see, IWM is down 0.15%, so we're seeing IWM kind of stalling out here. So nobody's really wanting to buy into small caps at their highs. But Q's keeps on headed up with a new high here. Dow Jones is even headed higher too, up 0.3%, and SPY's up 0.6% above 430. So probably a nice little gamma squeeze going on in SPY, considering above 430. I'm guessing there was a ton of calls there. So I think Qs will come back to 356. Let's see. Right now, you really don't have any competition for the bulls. It's just straight up looking at price. You're looking up. Looking at the open interest, you're looking up. So getting down to 356 will be difficult. But if we do manage down to 355, that's when you'll start to move to the downside. So that's what I would watch for. If we go below 355, I'll move this mark up to 355. That's where we'll get a reverse gamma squeeze. Yes, markets are driven by open options largely, just because there's trillions of dollars going into zero data expiration options. I don't know if you could see how much volatility a stock will experience, but you will see, like, that's where there's going to be a pivot or an acceleration for that stock. So the hot table for Nvidia today was $390 for the calls. So we started above 390. We ended up retesting it. Price action is looking bullish, so the market makers had to start buying in order to cover those 390 calls that they sold to everybody. In Microsoft, the hot open interest for today was 327.50. Let's see. And as soon as we hit that, it ended up rallying another 250 or so. It is pulling back at the moment, but still looking pretty bullish if we have the cup and handle formation and get back to 330. What is SOX S? SOX S is the triple leverage ETF that goes against semiconductors. So you have SOX, which is the regular ETF, which is made up of NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, and What other ones? Maybe Marvel. I don't know if Marvel's that popular to put into there, but basically it's just an ETF that contains a bunch of semiconductor stocks like those. So you have SOXL, which is triple leverage to the long side. And then you have SOXS, which is triple leverage to the downside. So it's kind of like TQQQ or SQQQ for the Qs, but instead this is just the semiconductor industry. That 355 call is going for 260 now. So I could have got another 120 profit out of it. We're retesting the highs at 357.50. So if there's any point to pull back, this is where it would be, considering the monthly highs are around this level. But again, there's not a lot of competition from the bears since there's not many puts for these strike prices up here. Not until you get down to 355. All right, let's look at the 16th expiration and see if we can make a trade pre. We already have the 350, 355 put debit spread, but I want to hedge that to the long side. Looking at the popular strike prices for next week, you're at 360 with 43,000 open interest and calls there. You got really not much above that. And then for puts, don't have much open interest here either. 22,355 puts. And then the next hot table is the 350s. So maybe we could expect Qs to 360 plus next week on Friday. I'd probably want to close before Fed meeting. Right now they're going for 290 a pop. Let's see, your delta is 40. So you get 40 over 290. About a 13% return for every $1 move up. So if it does manage up to 360, about $3 higher, well, I guess you'd have to account for the gamma too. That would be 41 plus 45 and then 49, 135 profit. if it does squeeze up to 360. It's interesting that there's more open interest in the 355 calls than the 360s. Usually out of the money options have more open interest. Yes. When you hit a hot table, then you can expect acceleration, usually in the same direction that the options are in. So that 355 call that was super popular this morning, there was a lot of open interest there. So as soon as we went above 355, it was off to the races this morning. And now there's a decent amount of open interest for the 355 puts expiring today. So if we do end up managing back down to 355, considering that this is our local high at 357, then you would accelerate to the downside later on today. I would think that you would probably need some sort of news in order to get us there, because absent of that, there's really not much selling action, I don't think, going on. Didn't know you get a poker chip. Would have done it a long time ago. Yeah. Hot take. I think we've seen Tesla's highest for today. Let's see. 252.42. I don't know. You got that kind of cup and handle formation. If it sets up again, that would be bullish. I don't know if I would count them out just yet. Let's check the Tesla table. I'm sure there's like no calls at 250. Like if you thought that Tesla would go to 250 this Friday, like you'd be out of your mind. But let's see. Oh, there's 18,000 calls with a 250 strike. Damn. The hottest table was 240 with 32,000 calls. And then for the puts, the hottest table, 230. So yeah, good luck getting there. Huh? Oh, she's got her toy. Nice. Oh, no. Bleeding bad on the puts. Yeah, I would not want to be in puts today. Not until we get back below 355, then I'll consider them. Would not want to hold over the weekend. Yeah. Usually the weekends have a decent gap up or gap down. Let's see, on Monday, we went, well, that's not what we want. Considering we're trading at the highs, yeah, I would probably want to book profits before the end of the day. Unless you just keep squeezing higher, but it's hard to get it above the new highs, it seems like, right now. It was looking like it was a failed cup and handle here, but ended up recovering to the new highs. Yeah. I mean, if I had bought Tesla calls whenever I wanted to a couple days ago, I would definitely be taking profits right now. Like up 4% in one day after it's already been up God knows how much the last week. I wouldn't want to hold on to those. Looks like Microsoft and Google are trying to improve here, but let's see. Microsoft seems a little bit more bullish. That's 61 RSI. Google is 57. I think I would rather take the downside on Google, but Microsoft seems more prone to the upside possibly. Unless we just reverse back under 327.50. Is there any news today? No, there's no news. No significant news, at least. Let's see, investing.com. Oh. Investing.com. I guess I'm already on it. Popular news today. Coinbase outlook, Chinese inflation data. Let's see. And then GM partnering with Tesla. So no broad market news. Just very stock specific news with Tesla and then Coinbase. All right, there we go with Qs pulling back here. So we might have met our high. Now you want to see this coming down to 355. You want it to reverse. Steep rise for Tesla would be a skeptical weekend put with a safe stop loss. If you do puts on Tesla, I just wouldn't spend a lot on it. Like I would spend maybe a couple $100 at most for it, like $100-$200, just because you're going against the momentum for it. So this is something similar to like Nvidia, where if you were betting after earnings that it would come down just because it was up 25%, you really wouldn't have made money there unless you waited for a couple of days. So same thing I would expect for Tesla. You're trying to time the top, you're probably not going to get it right. So I would want to wait for Tesla to start to consolidate, similar to what we saw for Nvidia the couple of weeks after the earnings. Then I would take the short trade. Then I would be heavier on the short trade. If you're going to take it now, I would just take it very light. And there's probably not a lot of puts for next week, I would think, just given the sharp rise that we've seen for it. Let's see, for next week, 6/16 expiration. The hottest table is 225 puts, 220 puts, and then I can't read that one. Oh, sorry, I read the wrong number. No, 225, 220, and let's see, 210 would be your hottest strikes. So, I mean, if you expect some really bad news coming from Tesla, then maybe you could get back down to the 230s, but that's a 20-point drop, so you're asking for a lot. Especially given the momentum, I wouldn't want to take that. But, buying those 230 puts, I'm sure would be very cheap. I would just want to get out of them on any kind of small drop, any pullback, and only spend like 100 on them. Let's see. The 230 puts right now are going for 169, so I'd probably only buy like one. But your delta for that is only 15, so you're really only getting a like 10% return for every dollar it drops. I'd probably take profits if it hits maybe somewhere in the middle of the gap up today from 235 to 250. So probably at like 240, 245 is where I would take profits. They're trying to get cues to the downside. Here we go. 356.50 now. So again, watch out for the 355. That's when things will start to unravel to the downside if we do manage to pull back that far. You definitely have price going for you, but you want the options to go for you too, and they won't start going until 355 and below. My 355, 350 put debit spreads are starting to pay out a bit. $26, 10% return so far. I think if we get below 355, I might add another one. Pretty significant pullback here, though. Off of that 357 high again. That's the third time that we've hit 357 and pulled back. So prices to the bearish side here. Triple top. Are October levels for Tesla okay to reference for support and resistance, or is it too far? I would say it's pretty hard to guesstimate on the options chain for October expiration. Let's see. And there's probably not a ton of open interest just because it is so far away. Yeah, you only have like 6,000 open interest with the 240 calls. And then for puts, you only have 7,000 for the 190 puts. So there's not a ton of open interest to go by. All right, here we go. Starting to accelerate to the downside. Lots of volume coming in. And then if we cross 355, that's when it starts to really accelerate. But probably going to have some support at 355. I think there's still a decent amount of calls open there. So wouldn't be too shocked if we reverse at or slightly above. Oh, last October of trading. Let's see. For Tesla. Going back to, say, the weekly chart, last October, that was when we were extremely bearish, I think. For the overall market, Tesla was trading. Tesla actually wasn't that bad compared to how the other tech stocks were going. Between 260 ish on a gap down, so there is a gap to fill on the weekly chart right here, right? Between, let's see, a high of 257.50 and a low of 262.50. So there is a gap to fill above 262.50, where you might end up traveling to if we're very bullish. And then to the downside in October, you're looking at 200 or 205 support. Did I hear a baby? Yes, I do have a daughter. 4 months old. Benefits of working at home, yeah. We're so close to 355, but not quite there. There's a lot of volume that went into that selling. Surprised that we would get that much action at 356. I don't think there was that many puts there, but 355, you have a decent amount. $9,600 puts. I still think there's a lot more calls. Yeah, there's twice as many calls, almost 18,700. So 355 might be your support, or close to 355. You have a 4-month-old daughter as well. February babies. Very nice. Lovely gap up for SPY. Yeah, let's see. SPY started at 428.80-ish. 429, I would call it, to gap up at 430. So, pretty sizable gap to fill to the downside, which would be 430. You probably have a lot of puts at that strike price, I would think. A lot of calls, too. Probably the highest open interest where they might want to pin it today. Especially given that it's a nice round number, 430. Tesla's breaking down. Let's see. Yeah, 247. The morning lows were 244.50, which was also the pre-market low. So that's where I would want to call it a start to a bearish day, below 244.50. Sold the puts for 57 profit. Nice. Good stuff. I just wouldn't want to be a trader on Tesla right now. It's way too volatile. You have a gamma squeeze of hell for Tesla right now, which I wouldn't want to participate in. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. All right, here we go with 355. Getting very, very close. So if we cross below, this is where we start to accelerate to the downside, most likely. And then 353, that's where you're going to have some competition between the calls and the puts. 352 and below, that's when you get a gamma squeeze for the puts. Reverse gamma squeeze, I should say. That's the most popular put strike price that's close to us, so watch out for that. Put debit spread's doing pretty good now. Up by 20%, 25% right now. I think I'll snag another one of it now that we're below 355. I want to see another like 20 cents though. Down to like 354.50 would be my ideal entry. Seeing Amazon start to go red, Meta starting to go red, Apple's still up 0.3, Microsoft still up 0.5%. Finally went below 327.50 though. Nvidia needs to go below 390 before I would call that bearish. So you got below 355, but not significant enough to call it a sell-off, I would say. Let's see, the low on this candle was 354.59. So not quite 50 cents. Tesla getting close to those morning and pre-market lows. About $1 or $1.50 away. Helps taking emotions out of the trade. Too scared to trade it with real money. Yeah, I don't blame you. Tesla's a wild card, especially like as much news as that comes out on Tesla, like on a daily basis. I would not want to trade it with real money. Like there's always some sort of news on Tesla, whether it's the company itself, Elon Musk, whatever it is, there's always something going on. Always sell too early. Hey, as long as you're making profit on it, that's okay. All right, yeah, we're finding some supports at 355 right now. So unless we get to like 350, 450 and below, I would say probably a reversal in store for us. It's a lot of volume going into this though. People are just conflicted at the 355 strike price. So you'll probably see it trade in like $1 range between 355.50 and 354.50 before making its next move. Would straddles be good for Tesla? Every time I look at straddles and strangles, they're always so expensive. Yeah, well, as much as Tesla moves, it's going to be expensive because the implied volatility is going to be extreme. So I personally wouldn't be a big fan of it, of straddles, strangles. I would rather bet with direction and just don't put a ton of money on it, especially right now. Like if you get some flat trading action, then you can put more money down. But if you're getting this kind of parabolic move up, you want to reduce your risk. But yeah, I think that's probably all the trades I got today. Again, watch out for Qs at 355. That is the hottest table today. 353 below, and then 352 you'll get a short. Reverse gamma squeeze to the downside, and then I think there's still a decent amount of open interest above 356, so if we do manage above that, probably accelerate back to the upside V-shaped recovery. So those are the levels I would be looking out for: 356, 352. And right now we're just trading at 355, not really moving much. So that's it for today, and I'll catch y'all on Monday at 9:30. See you, everybody.